Subjuntivo. El perfecto. El perfecto de subjuntivo uses haber both in the present tense and in the past tense. We know that haber in the present tense is I have, and haber in the past tense is I had. Let's look at how those are formed both in the indicative and in the subjunctive. We'll start here with the indicative. Has a, hemos habéis han, is I have, you have, she has, we have, y'all have, and they have. Haber in the past tense is había, habías, había, habíamos, habíais, and habían. I had, you had, he had, we had, y'all had, and they had. Let's look at how the present perfect is used in the indicative. I want you to see how these 5 categories of the subjunctive affect the use of the perfect. I believe that you speak Spanish becomes I believe that you have spoken Spanish. It's certain that you eat apples becomes it's certain that we have eaten apples. It's good when they live in Barcelona. It's good when they have lived in Barcelona. You like if I speak Catalan. You like if I have spoken Catalan. I want if he speaks euskera. I want if he has spoken euskera. Now, these sentences are not Shakespeare, but they do show how they're used in each of these 5 categories. The first 2, cabeza and certeza, if they're positive, the second verb is going to be indicative. And with opinion, emotion, and desire, if cuando or si is the connector, then the second verb is going to be in the indicative as well. So what you see here is none of these 5 second verbs are in the subjunctive. Let's look at the use of haber in the past tense, había, in these same sentences. I believe that you have spoken Spanish becomes I believe that you had spoken Spanish. It's certain that we have eaten apples becomes it's certain that we had eaten apples. It's good when they have lived in Barcelona. It's good when they had lived in Barcelona. You like if I have spoken Catalan. You like if I had spoken Catalan. And I want if he had spoken euskera. Again, not Shakespeare, but they get the point across. Let's look now at how these are used in the subjunctive in each of those 5 categories as well. So now we have haber, I have in the present, and haber, I had in the past, but we're going to see how they're formed in the subjunctive for both of those tenses. So in the present tense, haber in the subjunctive becomes haya, hayas, haya, hayamos, hayáis, and hayan. I have, you have, he has, we have, you all have, and they have. So if you need to use haber in the subjunctive, that's how you'll form it in the present tense. Haber in the past tense, if you need to use it, will be hubiera, hubieras, hubiera, hubiéramos, hubierais, and hubieran. I had, you had, she had, we had, y'all had, and they had. Again, if you need to use the subjunctive in the past tense for haber, that's how you would use it. Let's look at some examples, starting with the present tense of haber in the subjunctive. Looking again at these same sentences, let's see what happens when verbs of cabeza and certeza are no in verb 1. I believe that you have spoken Spanish becomes I don't believe that you have spoken Spanish. Notice has goes to hayas when no is in the first verb. It's certain that we have eaten apples becomes no es cierto que hayamos comido manzanas. With verbs of opinion, emotion, and desire, we're going to be looking not at no in front of the first verb, but rather que as the connector. Right now we have cuando, si, and si as the connector for those bottom 3 verbs, which means the second verb is currently in the present indicative. Let's change those cuando, si, and si to que and see what happens to that second verb. It's good when they have lived in Barcelona becomes it's good that they have lived in Barcelona. You like if I have spoken Catalan becomes you like that I have spoken Catalan. I want if he has spoken euskera becomes I want that he has spoken euskera. So if the connector becomes que in verbs of opinion, emotion, and desire, then that second verb has to become subjunctive even if it's the perfect tense. Hayas, hayamos, hayan, haya, and haya. Let's look now at how that would look in the past tense in the subjunctive. I believe that you had spoken Spanish would become I don't believe that you had spoken Spanish. No creo que hubieras hablado español. It's certain that we had eaten apples becomes it's not certain that we had eaten apples. No es cierto que hubiéramos comido manzanas. For verbs of opinion, es bueno cuando habían vivido en Barcelona becomes es bueno que hubieran vivido en Barcelona. Te gusta si había hablado catalán becomes te gusta que hubiera hablado catalán. Quiero si él había hablado becomes quiero que él hubiera hablado euskera. We've seen how haber is formed both in the present indicative and in the past indicative, as well as the present subjunctive and the past subjunctive, as well as how you might start to use them in a sentence. Now it's your turn to start to practice. Subjuntivo en el perfecto.